But who better than me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the casual stream with your host, Face the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. I'm not going to stick around for too long for tonight, but we do need to talk. And as much as we had an amazing main event and a good card overall on the weekend, headlined by Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, big congratulations to both of those individuals. I think that's the first time I've ever seen a fight where, even though there's technically a person that won and a person that didn't, there was actually no loser in that bout. So congratulations to both guys, put on an amazing masterclass of tactical brilliance, nullification of advantages, exposure of certain weaknesses, nullification of the weaknesses as well. It's an all-round, very tense, very competitive fight. But on the undercard of that fight is where all of the talking points take place. So we have to talk about it. May be difficult for some, may not be difficult for others. I'm going to put in the chat and I'm going to let everyone have their say. I'm going to give my thoughts on a few things. But ultimately, as you guys saw from the thumbnail and from the title, this casual stream is about the missteps of BOXXER. Can they recover from said missteps? I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to get into my opinion in a moment, but I was actually going through their website just a moment ago, just checking out all the people that officially signed to them. And one of the things I noticed more than anything was the majority of the people they've got signed haven't actually fought in the back half of this year. There's some people they got signed, they ain't actually fought since 2023, and they're not injured. So yeah, then you've got, two of your, what you would call your headliners. You've got two of your stars, two of the people that you're ultimately building your foundations on. And you basically, you palm them off onto another promotional broadcast outside of your control, I guess, for money. Obviously there's a bag involved, there's a very sufficient bag, but probably before either person was actually ready, and now both people's careers or reputations at this point are in the toilet. That's very hard to come back from, especially when these are like the stalwarts of the company. These are the poster boys of your organization, and you ain't got enough of them to really be like, being able to make certain missteps, especially outside of your own control. So yeah, look, we're going to talk about all of that shortly, but as always with this, I got to go into the chat, say what's up to the people that are watching, and yeah, we're going to talk, and we're going to have to get into it. Shout out to Philip Answer first in the building. First and foremost, it was either boxed up or boxered, and I thought box up kind of made more sense, but I appreciate that. Robert Broney in the building as well. It just came that way, Robert. Shout out to you, man. Like Muller in the building. Shout out to you, big guy in the building. Ryan Hutchison as well. Hydra Selassie as well. Thank you very much. He says, big up everyone. BOXXER sold out for Saudi Arabia and had an absolute stinker. October Red in the building. Shout out to you, October. If you would have seen, you would have said that it was a 7:45 start. So I'm actually perfectly on time. Sent the link and it ain't even here. I didn't know October Red was so strict on timekeeping. Yeah, it gets like that sometimes. But shout out to her. Shout out to Jonah 31 in the building as well. Emma Willis. Peace to you, Emma. She got the popcorn ready, I see. just check BOXXER. BOXXER have put on 7 cards this year. That's just one better than the PBC who started doing shows in March. Yep, that's something we definitely will address. James in the building, shout out to you. Man like Untraceable, Ra Holcomb as well. Yeah. So look, with that being said, we're through all of that. We've got the pleasantries out of the way. Now it's time to talk. It's really time to talk. I'm gonna have my say first of all. Then we're gonna go to the chat, and I'm even putting the link out because I want people's input if they want to come on and have their say. But look, so we've got so let me actually go onto the right. So I'm on the BOXXER website at the moment, right? That you guys can hopefully see in the camera. Now, first thing you know, you got Chris Eubank Jr., Ben Whittaker, Adam Azim, Caroline Dubois, Vidal Riley, Fraser Clarke, Lauren Price, and Callum Simpson. They're on the main they're on that main banner. Then you have to click load more before you get to an actual champion like Chris Billum Smith, Richard Riapor, like Joshua Bawatsi, another unified or former unified champion Natasha Jonas. So, but when I look at this, I look at their roster. So the first thing I'm saying, okay, Chris Eubank Jr., fair enough. I guess he's a name, big star in that sense, but he got top billing. So all the time that you're talking about man like Joshua Bawatsi or Lawrence Okoli or these men are being the face of the company, well, no, Chris Eubank Jr. seems to be, and he literally just turned up a moment ago. Like, that's crazy. But then next underneath that, you got Ben Whittaker. Okay, that makes sense. The viral sensation. He's like the guy that you're basically pinning your entire company on at this point. Even though there was the rumors of, the potential him moving to Matchroom when things are over and done with his contract and all of that. So then you got Adam Azim. All right, cool. So let's take a look at these people. So you got Chris Eubank, obviously just fought on the weekend, but that's his first fight since he last fought with them in August last year. That's over a year's worth of inactivity with him, right? Now, you have Ben Whittaker. Now, he fought quite regularly this year. I think this weekend's fight, I think that may have been his 4th fight this year. It might have even been his 5th. He's actually been pretty active. So you can understand, all right, face of the company. Adam Azim, he ain't fought since... I know he's fighting this weekend, but prior to that, he's still a young guy. I think his last time he fought was in February. I'm almost certain it was February or March, obviously, because he became the quote-unquote the youngest ever European champion. And then there's the controversy that then takes place, pulls out of the, you've got to pull out for the European and the British unification that was called by both sets of bodies. But yet they say, he can beat Dalton Smith now, but yet you don't take the fight. All right. Since then, he ain't fought. He was supposed to fight Harlem Eubank, supposedly got injured, and then that fight got pushed back until Harlem Eubank said, all right, you guys are taking the piss. I'm going to go a different direction. Now he's fighting O'Hara Davis this weekend. Caroline Dubois, one of their premier talents, one of their most bankable stars at this point in time, but there's optics around Caroline due to the Beatrice Ferreira stuff that took place. But she's been active to a degree. She's supposed to be out once more this year. She says contractually she's supposed to be out, but she doesn't actually know when. And there's 10, 11 weeks left of the year, and she doesn't know supposedly what card she's supposed to be on. Now, this is someone that's just been elevated to an interim champion that's about to either fight for the full title or become a world champion, and they don't even know when their next fight day is. And they're supposed to be one of your priorities. So one of your priorities don't know when they're fighting. Like, do you, to a lesser extent, I know it's lesser, but do you think Anthony Joshua would ever not know when he's fighting or what the schedule is supposed to look like? You would have a rough window of what date you're supposed to be in the ring for. The same with Dimitri Bivol. He's going to know roughly what dates he's supposed to be in for. The people that are priorities on your... Dalton Smith knew exactly what period of time he was training for after, especially after the purse bid thing didn't happen. So you look at that. Vidal Riley, obviously, I know he got a cracked rib back in February. Did he fight? I don't even think he's fought since that fight that he had against Mikhail Lawal. Not February, sorry, March. I ain't seen him fight since. So we're in October now. Has he fought since then? I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong because I would say I haven't seen every single BOXXER card this year, but they've literally only had 7. 10 months in, and they've put on 7 shows. Literally trading off the fact that Sky Sports have got the top rank connection in the US as to how they're getting programming on Sky Sports, because BOXXER ain't delivering cards. All right, cool. Fraser Clarke. Bear in mind, Fraser Clarke was, what was he, 8-0-1 at the end, the time of this weekend gone. But the last time he fought was in March prior to this. So you mean to tell me that, again, one of your stalwarts, but someone that's not at the elite level, not a title holder, is having 6 and 7 months off in between fights at this stage, especially at the age he's at, when he's supposed to be, on the fast track? Criminal. Then he's obviously in there with people that, unfortunately, he's like, none of those people that he's been in the ring with prior to. He even said it himself. Fabio Wardley was his first actual test, because everyone else he was in the ring with, none of them were suitable preparation for the pro game. That's what he said, I think, before the first fight. 6 months later, we see what happens there. But again, he's one of the stalwarts. He's one of the big guys in the division. He's one of, BOXXER's premier stars, if that's what we're going to say. So you take him off platform to get ironed out in 1 round against a guy that come from white collar. And that's no disrespect to Fabio, but that's the narrative. Like, he's supposed to be one of your crown jewels. And he got beat by a guy that before that fight was a technical nomad. He had no home. He was just a traveler. He was basically just a traveler, like just, all right, have gum shield, we'll fight. That was literally Fabio Wardley settings. And that, and you didn't put up a better performance than that. Again, away from home comforts. Are we going to say an exposure? I mean, I think we might have to say that. Then we talk about, actually, I'm going to go to Ben Whittaker shortly, yeah? Because that's a whole different story. That's a whole nother scenario, and we've got to unpack, and there's a lot of different layers there. But let's look at Lauren Price. Supposed to be one of your standout amateurs, Olympic gold medalist, one of the most talked about people in your stable when you first signed her. She ain't fought since May. She won a world title in May and don't have a fight date now. How does that work? How do you not accommodate a legit world champion that you have on the books? Especially with the level of ease that she beat Jessica McCaskill. Like, surely you should now be like trying to build some momentum behind that. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that entire event in Wales, was garbage. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, the card was bad. It was a horrendous watch, but she did what she needed to do. Yet, where's her fight? Karis Artinstall. I don't actually think Karis Artinstall was fought since either January or late 2023. Again, why is Karis Artinstall not fought? And she's in a division that's deep, 126 pounds. It's not like you can't find opponents for her. Why is she not fighting? She's not injured. Hassan Mazin, he ain't fought since, I think, July or August 2023. But these are still men that are on your... They're big on the website. Like, what's going on? Obviously, we had the Joshua Buatsi stuff. We understand there was the Anthony Yard issues, and there was waiting on a fight date or whatever. But remember, he said he went over to BOXXER because he wanted to be active and wanted to be on a platform where people know him. And then ended up getting put as a main event. And where was it he got put in the main event in? Was it Birmingham? With people literally walking out of the arena. I mean, Savannah Marshall's still on the website, but she's technically decided to go do MMA because you ain't got nothing for her. Now, I understand, obviously, that's a higher weight division. It's a lot harder to get meaningful fights up there. But these are people that are big on your roster. Obviously, I won't say anything about Callum Simpson because we know he's currently going through, you know, a very bad period with his you know, obviously with the tragic death of his sister. So I understand if he's not going to be in the ring anytime soon. But, you know, he last was out, I think, in August. There's like all of these people. Natasha Jonas she was supposed to have a big fight with a rematch with Michaela Mayer. Both her and Michaela said they wanted to fight, but somehow BOXXER can't get a schedule together to put them on a card. Even though that was one of the most viewed fights that they had earlier on. Was that even this year? Yeah, it was earlier on this year. I think like February or something like that. I don't even remember because all these dates are literally blending into one. But Natasha Jonas, towards the back end of her career, when she ain't got time to waste, can't get a fight, and she's a champion, a legit champion as well. And you can't even get her a keep busy fight, let alone like the biggest fights that you can make for her, which I'm sure ain't gonna break the bank and cost you an arm and a leg. So with all of, you know, and every single person, like even Martin Bakole, one of the people that you champion and talk about, like, you know, as the next big thing, and he's a nightmare and he's gonna be future world heavyweight champion and all that stuff. You've literally outsourced him on his last 3 fights. He ain't fought one fight for BOXXER yet. He had to go fight in Poland. He had to go fight in, obviously, America on a Saudi on the Riyadh season card in Las Vegas. I mean, in LA. And the other fight that he fought was, actually, it might have just been those 2. Now that I'm thinking about it. So you know, this big guy that you've got signatures for. Oh, it was another Riyadh season. Yeah, he had 2 Riyadh seasons. He did the first, I think it was Fury, wasn't it? The Fury and Ngannou card where he fought Carlos Takam. But he's literally been outsourced on his last 3 fights. You can't get him one fight on the platform, but he's one of your fighters. I mean, the most active, probably the most bankable person they got is like Tyler Denny, and even then, they didn't do enough to try and win the purse bid for him. Had to make him go on the road to defend his title the other day. Then outsourced him to Hamza Shiraz less than, what was it? It was less than 10 weeks after he fought. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know he wanted to take the fight. I'm not blaming Tyler, but that's not managing him correctly, knowing who he's up against. Like, what? Jack Massey literally just won the EBU title. Don't even get a chance to build name and defense, and the first thing you decide to do is make a world title fight against the guy that everyone is saying is the #1 guy in the division, with no, you know, again, with not that much build up behind it. Because prior to that, no one really knew that Jack Massey was signed to BOXXER. It's almost like he won the belt, got signed, and then got fed to Jaya Patel. Like, Chris Kongo gets a little bit of recognition. Reese Edwards, I've not heard much of recently. Mark Jeffers, I know Francesca Hennessy's been out a couple of times, but even her, where's the activity for her? She's fighting this weekend, but she should be on one of those 3, 4, 5 fights a year plans, maybe even more than that, especially as young as she is. Get all that experience. Gloria Marco, I ain't really heard much about him since he got beat by Chris Kongo. Whether that's because he's, you know, I don't really know, but even with him, they was having to outsource his events to Albania. Like, he wasn't getting proper slots on Sky Sports. So this entire roster, you've got this whole roster worth of fighters and no fight dates for them. Then your 2 marquee people both get outsourced on the exact same platform on the exact same date. One of them has now got their name muddied over a potential quit gate, and fraudulent injuries and whatnot, not being able to keep in character with someone that's a little bit better than a bin man when it comes to, you know, the way they box, and to bear criticisms being levied at them, and the other one getting his face broken in one round. Imagine that, like, you, when the guy is on your platform and you get him a main event fight on your side with everything going your way, he goes the distance with the guy. As soon as he comes off your platform, it's a one-round destruction. I'm telling you, all of it seems a bit fishy. Not only does it seem fishy, it seems very much like either there's budget issues, either Sky have decided that they're not, you know, that they ain't particularly willing to invest in people that they don't consider marketable right now, or we're being deceived and hoodwinked. But I almost forgot about Lawrence Okoli. He got sent over to Poland as well. He's supposed to be this big signing, the face of, lose one fight, all of a sudden you're fighting in Poland for a bridgerweight title that no one cares about. When Alan Babbage, they didn't win the first bid for him either. He went over to Poland. So I know that technically he was kind of in the matchroom favor at that point, but Babbage as well. There's just, and don't get me wrong, like, I understand every promotional outfit has, you know, issues maybe getting everyone out as much as they should be, or there's financials or whatever, but I don't understand how you can have so many stars, quote unquote, so many people that are supposed to be the ones you're building your company off of, and not one of them have got a fight day, not one of them have got a plan. It's crazy. And I know, obviously, I know for like someone like Natasha Jonas, for instance, when she first went over to BOXXER, it was perfect for her. They actually invested some time in her, invested money in her. She got to do the commentary, all that sort of stuff. But I wonder if she's looking at it now like, well, like, did things really work out for me? Because if we're being real, the only reason she even then got world titles is because she went up to 154 where there was nobody, and they managed to engineer a couple easy fights. But since then, coming back down into a more decent weight class, 147, her activity's just stalled now. And I don't want that for Tash, because again, she ain't got much time left. She's openly stated that this whole year could have passed her by and she has one fight. I don't think she's gonna really stick around to next year. So it's a mess over there, and I don't know if they can recover from this. The fight on the weekend is going to tell us a lot, or the event, I should say. Like, if it's, you know, if it's a packed event, that will be, you know, I guess that would be a good sign. I would assume Adam Azim does good numbers. I know a lot of the people from, you know, sort of that community in that sort of Slough area, that West London type area, they seem to stick together and they always seem to come out for each other. So we'll have to wait and see. But even to the point, like, the desperation to put Anthony Yard on that card against another no-hoper. Now, some people might say it's of a slightly higher quality than what he will normally come back to as a keep busy fight, and maybe it's a showcase to finally get that Joshua Buatsi fight, you know, over the line and whatnot. But even that, why would he be okay? The reason you're shoehorning him into that event is because you think he's going to sell some tickets in that area. But I still go back to the time when he fought Lyndon Arthur for the rematch at the Copper Box, and the arena had more people from Manchester in it than it had for Anthony Yard. And I remember because I was literally sitting amongst them. And when Lyndon Arthur came out, the crowd went crazy. When Anthony Yard came out, there wasn't that many people. I'm not saying there was no one in there for him, but there was more people in there from Manchester than there was from London. That's crazy. So, yeah. They even resurrected the corpse of Shannon Courtney to go on the card, thinking that she's going to sell tickets all of a sudden. Like, there's just this big haphazard plan. I don't know what's going on. I really wish I did. Like, it's actually mad when I'm thinking about how aimless and like scattergun everything is seeming to be right now. the lack of shows more than anything, I think, is a major disservice to the people that they're going to have on the cards. And if you don't have enough dates, then I don't even know what to say. I don't even really remember the card this weekend being promoted that much. It's only because I get promotional materials and I get press junkie emails and stuff that I remember that these certain of their cards are happening. But prior to that, it's like, mate, let me get back into the chat real quick, and then I'm actually going to drop a link, and I want people obviously to come in if they've got things that they want to say. There's a lot of people on that BOXXER run that that I like watching fight, or that I'm cool with, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are you not more active? And the funny thing is, it's only the people that they don't seem to have a vested interest in, or that they didn't promote, that they're actually getting a lot of opportunity. Dan Aziz is probably the only person that's getting regular work with BOXXER. Emma, this is all tragic. Keep going. I mean, yeah. Philip Ben said on Pain Game that Vidal would face Isaac Chamberlain next, but there's been nothing said after that. I mean, Frank Warren said in the interview earlier, Ben happens to say one thing and then it never really seems to happen. So I don't know. I guess we got to watch for the words moving forward. Way back in cold Liverpool night in January, I was watching Jonas versus. Thank you, January. So she ain't fought since then. Even though both of them said they wanted to do the rematch. But yet it couldn't happen, even though it was a big fight which had controversy, which means it would have been an even bigger fight next time round. But you can't get a date. Why can't you get a date? Or is it that you didn't actually think that Natasha would be able to win the rematch? You didn't want one of your people to get beat, so you rather shelve them. Like, is that what it is? I blame Lennox Lewis, one training camp with Lewis and Iron Dow. Well, that's another conspiracy theory for another time, but Jews say the optics of that ain't too great still. Savannah Marshall still with, technically, yes, she's still with BOXXER, but she'd rather do PFL stuff right now because PFL have got work for her. Don't think Ben can afford to put them out often. Then cut them. If you can't put them out, then cut them. Especially like the prospects, like the people. Again, you can't have a world champion fight in May and then they don't fight again for the rest of the year if you're trying to build a proper stable. And none of these people, let's be honest, well, I don't know what contracts they signed, because apparently, remember, Eddie Hearn said that they was offering crazy money to sign up the Olympians and whatnot. But I'm sure, worst case scenario, I know Lauren Price ain't costing you as much as Fraser Clarke or as much as Ben Whittaker. So therefore, you should be doubling and tripling up on her fights. Same with Karis Artinstall. These, like, you might as well make all your cards off the back of them and then throw a couple of, just a couple of random exhibition fights, and if that's what you're gonna do. But they need activity. Star Fox broke boy Ben, Well, I know Maestro calls him little boy Ben, so yeah. I heard Marshall has issues with BOXXER. I wouldn't be surprised. Jonas has only fought once. Yep. Natasha versus Sandy. I mean, let's hope. Shout out to you, O. Thank you very much for being here. Don't know where his $8 million a year budget went. Why? I'm not even going to speculate on that. Because if this is all he has to show for it, boxers, matchmakers, and promoters are trash, in my opinion. Big up, a shout out to you, Wayne Fitness. I need to see a sit down with Base and Shalom to discuss all this. Well, I won't. I'm waiting on my to be officially accredited for this weekend. If I get it, I guarantee, because I could have done one the other day, but if I get it, I will have this conversation. Because I feel like there's a lot that does need to be answered right about now. What is going on with Florian Marku? Yeah, don't know. Chris, you remember? Okay, shout out to you. Right, you see, Chris Congo. Do you know what Chris Congo did after beating Florian Marku? Remember the Wembley edition fight the other day? They had the public workout. He was one of the fighters that they had fighting at the at Wembley the OVO Arena and Wembley after the public workout in a 6-rounder. So man with one of the biggest wins of his career, supposed to now be jumping into a, maybe like another British title shot or some kind of, maybe a WBO international or some kind of, rankings title, is fighting in a 6-rounder after a public workout. Because again, he can't get a next fight since his fight in March. Again, bear that in mind. He gets given a fight in September, a 6-rounder in September after the biggest fight of his career in March. Is that because he upset the apple cart and now you can't get him back out again? Chris ain't an expensive guy. You've had cards since that card in March. Why wasn't he on one of those? So, yeah. This stable being reeled off is terrible. More outsourcing going on at BOXXER than the UK call center to India. That's what it feels like. Literally, every one of their fighters is fighting on. And you know what? If you ain't got the Sky deal, that's one thing. Because there's many different promotional companies that they're literally like, they're outsourcers. That's what they do. They've got a stable of fighters and they just send them over to the highest bidders. If you're gonna do that, then do that. But not having a plan for the stable that you've got. After talking about you want to do 5 versus 5s, after what we saw on the weekend, literally the only person, I said this the other day when I can't remember who it was I was speaking. Someone was telling me about 5v5. It was last week I think on Monday Night Smoke, and I said there's no way that BOXXER would win a 5v5 against Matchroom or Queensbury, and purely that's all. And it's not even because they haven't got some good fighters there. It's because every single weight class that gets picked is going to be picked in where the other team is amazingly stacked. They're not going to be looking to do competitive matchups. No, they're going to find the best person on their roster, whether it's their world champion or whatever, and they're going to take them apart. The only person on the BOXXER team that I would have any real confidence in is Martin Bakole. Maybe Joshua Buatsi if they decide to put him into a 5v5. But again, those two. That's about it. Outside of that, I can't, I doubt you're going to put Ben Whittaker in the head of Buatsi, personally. But even if you do, I think the other teams maybe have someone that they feel can deal with Ben. So BOXXER will have the light heavyweight division, and they'll have maybe the heavyweight division. But you go 5v5 with Frank in the heavyweight division. Bakole doesn't make it through that. There's too many heavy hitters on Queensbury's side. He's probably going to have the advantage on Matchroom. Cruiserweight, Eddie Hearn's got that dealt with. Light heavyweight, BOXXER might have a chance. Super middleweight is Matchroom. Like middleweight between the two of them is probably going to be Matchroom as well. Like 154 will be Matchroom, 147 will be Matchroom, 140 will be Matchroom. They're literally going to just get the killers for your entire squad. Unless you go, and if you start doing the women, then there's only one competitive match you get, and that's Caroline and Beatrice. Because you can't say, oh no, well we want Caroline or we want Terry Harper. It was no. This is who we've got as our 135 champion. Take it or leave it. 147. I don't think Lauren Price is gonna get it done against Sandy Ryan personally. So yeah, 140. Obviously, you got Azim and Smith. Well, they've already said that they ain't trying to take that fight anytime soon. They're gonna take it on their terms. So yeah. Lawrence of Code 2, only the Poland show. Richards 2, only CBS fight. Well, with the Richard thing, I know that there was a couple of times he was supposed to get. I think he had a fight earlier on in the year. Like, he have a fight in January or something. Like, it was a real short 2-rounders or some job. But maybe that was the end of last year. I don't even remember. But yeah, none of them are active. They have no plan for fighters at all. Snatching fighters up like Pokemon cards and then can't do anything with them. Shout out man like the beauty of the pencil. Shannon's on that card too. Yep. Man like Boxing Beats and Rhymes. Shout out to you. We got based to know you were live. No, I decided to do it about 2:30 this afternoon, so I'll pull it up. But I wasn't 100% sure if I was gonna go live today. But yeah, big up obviously beats each time. Yard can sell out a stadium. Star Fox WR45E Tunde's coach of people broke down and not AY's fault. The driver emptied the tank. Shout out. I got a priority ticket window that I never asked or registered for. Shout out to Muller. Man, that starter in the building right now. It's Riyadh season or nothing unless your name is Tank or Canelo. Simple. No, I mean, because Eddie and Frank are still managing to put on shows outside of Riyadh season, getting out the majority of their fight. I can't remember hearing, apart from Lee Wood, I don't think there's any matchroom person that's been complaining about they can't get a fight or they ain't got a fight date or whatever. And Lee Wood's not even signed to matchroom right now. He's a free agent. So Ben is only worried about taking pictures with his fighters. Yeah, I saw that Frank Warren interview. That was there was some very telling information that came from that interview still. So Ben wanted to do the rematch with Wardley on pay-per-view, and the reason it was so good is because everyone had the chance to see it. There you go. And the issue with BOXXER is that they're not really making money off their fights too, and no pay-per-views, are always giving out free tickets. Yeah, because I'm sure part of their thing was that Sky Sports said that they wanted at least like 5 pay-per-view events a year or something like that. So boy, and yeah, the free tickets, so you got to pay for the crowds in it, because clearly the other promotion isn't working, or you're not building your people in the right way. Because at a certain time Ben will say, oh, like Eddie Hearn is only really cares about promoting himself, we're about promoting the fighters. Well, how come half of these fighters no one don't know about? Because you clearly ain't. If you're not promoting yourself, are you promoting them? Because I only know half the roster of the fighters because I go to the press junkets. Half the people on their actual website, I didn't even realize they were signed to them. Obviously the ones on the top row I did, but even the guys like Zach Chelly initially, I thought he was just one of their wild cards. You know, what's his name? Reese Edwards, for instance, Mark Jeffers. I didn't know these men were signed there. Louis Green only recently I think got signed because he beat one of their prospects the other day. And Isaac Chamberlain is clearly, you know, he's like a Mick Hennessy guy that fights on their cards. And I think half of their roster actually, I think, were like Mick Hennessy guys, like Hennessy Sports, and they were just kind of being loaned out to them to fill the cards, and then the cards ain't even happening no more. Shout out to man like Bruce Kai in the building. Do we think Ben can recover? Because that Blue Peter sellotape job on the ankle is looking stinky out here. We could talk about that in a minute. I'll get to that. If Azim loses, it may be over. They better pray that O'Hara don't come ready to do a madness, because he's not out. As much as he may be a potentially washed guy, he's not outside the realms of causing an upset or getting a lucky punch. One thing he does is he punches hard. Shout out to man like Jam Down 187 in the building. I've got a feeling O'Hara might put another nail in the BOXXER coffin on Saturday. Oof. Imagine being a Sky Sports subscriber, all the names going to Saudi cards. Yeah, you don't even get to see. You've got to pay to watch the people that you're supposed to be getting as part of your subscription. And I know that can be said about Matchroom as well, but at least we get a good chunk of fights from theirs on both sides of the, both sides of the pond that ain't being, put on his own pay-per-view or being thrown to Riyadh season cards. Uncle Frank said Karma will get Shalom. But is outsourcing getting better paydays for those fighters? After all, they are prize fighters. Yeah, they might be, but guess what? What happens when it goes wrong? Like it's been going wrong for quite a few of them. Like, what next? Or what do you? Or if you outsource them for a better payday and then they lose or something happens, you're the one that's got to rebuild them. Probably not for cheap either. And then their stock's gone down, and they don't even like win or lose on your platform. So if they lose, you don't get the benefit of them losing, and if they win, most of the time you don't get the benefit of them winning as well, because it's not your platform that's providing the sole content. So yeah, it's anyway. Eddie won't mess around with BOXXER. He wants blood. Going for the kill. Him and Frank Smith hate him. Yeah. So if they ever do a 5v5, they're not looking to make competitive matchups. I'm guaranteed they're putting in the best person they got in every division that gets picked. And Shalom might get lucky. He might win one. Maybe he might win two if he's lucky. But the other three are going to be like brutal knockovers. And the two that he wins are going to be highly competitive. So BOXXER versus Southland is more competitive. Yeah, I'd say that. That's their level. It seems as if BOXXER is the UK PBC, if you think about it. Yeah, quite possibly. Shout out to Dan the Man, SC15, hardest working guy on Twittex. Appreciate you being here. Calling them the UK PBC as a compliment at this point. Yeah, I mean, yeah, imagine PBC have done 7 shows. Okay, 6 of them were pay-per-views, but that was from March. So from March until now, they've still got 7 shows out. You've got 7 since January. And literally have been piggy banking off the success of the fact that Top Rank have cards in America to keep your schedule of boxing. Ben only talks about the fights on Fight Week from Thursday. What kind of promotion is that? Yeah. Shout out to Starter. My cousin fighting for his first title fight this Friday. York Hall, Southern area. Courtney Bennett versus Nick Webb. I might be in attendance. Anyone, if you're in the York Hall area and you can go down and support man like Courtney Bennett, please do so. If you want to support Nick Webb, please support him as well. Like, York Hall is normally a good night out, to be fair, as long as it's not in the summer though. So this would be a good time for York Hall. It won't be too hot in there. Philip, which fight week was the one that Ben avoided all the media questions, if you can remember? How many? Well, there's many of them, to be honest. He didn't answer any questions at the press conference for Bivol and Better Beef. 2-3 weeks ago. He said something about, I remember walking past him saying something about I wanna speak, but I'm silenced, or I'm silent right now, or something like that. I remember the one time he came out and actually did media was, what fight was it? It was I think it was the March card. Because I remember that was the time I actually got to interview him, and people came on the channel and said, right, he actually seems like a decent guy. Like, you seem to have brought out like the likability in him in your interview. But since then, like, apart from October, no one else don't really hear from him. And you know, no, their relationship. So I'm not going to say much else about that. But yeah, I don't know. Bruce Cameron Willis, and I'd still choose Sauerland all day because of their history. They actually put on great fights throughout the years. Plus, their roster is wide and vast. Many different countries of fighters. If they'd put Johnny Fisher in with Bocoli, that would be a win for them. Well, yeah, but Eddie wouldn't put Fisher in with Bocoli because everyone knows that Fisher's not English level yet. Well, okay, he might be English, but that's about it. You know, remember the only belt he's got is a Southern area. So, right, Bruce Kai. The obvious red flag with Ben is that he came from absolute nowhere, no history of doing or being anything in boxing, and suddenly BOXXER head honcho. He's got no clue, and it shows. Boy, it's not like it beating the Chargers. Right, now, so obviously I spoke a little bit about Fraser Clarke and, you know, what's happening with him. Now, quite frankly, just to sort of finish my point on there, and I want to put a link in the chat for the next half an hour or so, if anyone wants to jump in. I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't think Fraser Clarke's going to come back after that. I feel like, and I said this the other day, and he could prove me wrong. He could come back. He could maybe, if he does, I think his ceiling is British level. I think I said that a couple years back. I goes, I'm looking at Fraser Clarke, and I can't see him getting above British. I think he might be able to win a British title, maybe a vacant one, and that will be him. I didn't even think he'd get to European. But after that and what's happened with that, and the fact that now you know that that kind of damage can happen to you, that's never happened to you before, at the age of 33 with only 8 fights or 9 fights under your belt at the time, with no upwards trajectory, there's not. What is the point? Because I would like to think Fraser Clarke has got more. He's got more pride in himself than to just now be a gatekeeper or be a guy that's testing the young up and comers. Like, he wanted to be something in the game. So from you now know your level. Technically, you can't even say you're British level because you haven't won at British level yet. You've drawn and you've lost. So that's got to be a hard pill to swallow. And at the age of 33, obviously, with a missus, with kids who obviously have seen that damage and seen the injury, I don't know if you want to put them through that again. I don't know if you want to put yourself through that. Do you really have the grit and determination to know that chances are you're not going to make it to where you wanted to make it, and go through that to potentially have that happen again? I can't see it. So I really think the career's over. And if he doesn't retire, I think he might have 1 or 2 more fights, and then that's it. I literally can't see him sticking around. Like, he had the run, he tried to get, he wanted to see where his level was at, found his level. I don't think he's going to be happy at that level. So yeah, I can't see him sticking around. If he proves me wrong and does a great job, all the congrats and praise to him. But yeah, I can't see it. In terms of Ben Whittaker, now I've said this several things about obviously what happened. The first thing is Liam Cameron initiated the push. We all saw that. Even if people say, oh well, Ben kind of helped to guide him over, I feel as if Cameron pushed him over, but Ben's like, well, shit, like you're pushing me, like I'm trying to hold on, I'm trying to hold my balance, and I'm grabbing you. Like, if I'm going, you're going as well. I think it's one of them scenarios. But it was initiated by Cameron, and there was no point taken off. So that to me, I think, is a bit suspect. Like, how do you not? But again, then we find out obviously Liam Cameron is signed to Frank Warren, so you ain't taking a point off of him. No, that's good work. Let's do what we came here to do. So yeah, I can kind of see that as a scenario. When they both actually fell over the ring, they both actually kind of fell on the top of their shoulders, back of the necks, like both of them. So you saw that issue there. Then you see the security sort of running on the other side. We don't know if they caught Ben's foot or whatever. Like, we can't see it enough to judge. Is there a potential? Now, what we also need to find out is, you see, when he quote unquote had the injury, was it an impact injury when he went over? Because obviously that's what they're saying, he's got a sprained ankle, right? Did the injury happen when he went over the ropes and hit the other side? Or did it happen when he was pushed onto the ropes and maybe did his foot get stuck underneath him before he went over in the first place? Is that where it happened? That's what we need to understand. Now, when he says that he's got a neck injury, he had a prior neck injury and that was aggravated. Well, okay, that makes sense because we saw how both of them fell. So that's one thing there. So that's giving him all the considerations you can give him. And if he has got the quote unquote neck injury and he can't move, then yes, you can no longer continue because you literally can't move. All right, cool. But as I've said before, if it's about the foot and it's like a sprained ankle, or whether it's a bad sprain or a light sprain, or it's just an ankle injury, and you got to kind of hobble about on it. As I said before, David Haye fought over 5 rounds with a ruptured Achilles. Like, you've got Audley Harrison fought and managed to knock a man out with a dislocated shoulder for like 2-3 rounds. Danny Williams knocked a man out with a dislocated shoulder. George Groves won a fight with a dislocated shoulder the last 2 rounds against Chris Eubank Jr. Like, these things happen, innit? A lot of people will say in the gladiatorial sport, you've got 2 arms, you've got 2 legs. If you can stand, you can fight. So the only way they would say you can't fight is if you got 2 broken legs. If you got 1 broken one, stand in the corner until someone throws in the towel or until the referee stops it. You're supposed to carry on. That's what a lot of people feel like is the Warriors code. I remember, I think even Ebony Bridges, I think on her pro debut, she broke her ankle in the first round of her pro debut and still won the fight. Now, I'm not saying she was in there with any great opponent, but she fought a whole fight on a broken ankle. So for you to just have a sprain and decide that you don't want any more, or decide that you can no longer continue, unfortunately, it is a quit. It doesn't make him a quitter. I disagree with the whole Ben Whittaker thing, but if we look at just the word of what quitting is, it's to no longer continue, to choose to stop an activity, a job, or a sport. I can't remember if that's the exact term, but that's ultimately the decision to stop what you're doing or to stop an action. That is what a quit is. So if you've chosen to do that, unfortunately, that's the case. But he's got to run it back. Again, he has to. If he doesn't run it back, it looks horrible, and all the criticism is just going to get worse. Shout out to Karma building. Shout out to you. Justice for Ben. I hear you. What did you? I saw you say something else. As a medical professional, I don't agree with any of this. as part of the BDL, I'm sure you wouldn't. But my point is, a lot of people in the combat sports, that's what they say. A lot of them say there's only 3 acceptable ways that you get out of a fight. Apart from the fight ending, is that you get knocked out and rendered unconscious. You get the corner. Your corner throws in the towel, or the referee, or the medical professional, or the doctor tells the referee the fight must be stopped and you can no longer continue. Those are the only 3 ways that people, will not call someone a quitter if they don't continue a fight. So, what's this from Bruce? Base, a registered nurse on X said, if any medical professional bandage Ben's foot, they should be struck off immediately because it did 0 for the apparent injury he has. But the thing is, all right, but the foot itself, all right, I see all the tape and stuff that's there, but wasn't there like a small cast or something underneath it? It looked like a small cast that was at the, that was underneath the tape. So again, I don't know. I saw the picture. It looked like there was something else there apart from the tape. It didn't look like that tape was on bare skin, because you didn't see his tattoo, and the tattoo goes all the way down to his ankle. But never saw Ben walk around and test his ankle. He went straight to the stall. Bruce said it as well. Shout out. Ebony broke her ankle and fought on it. Hay ruptured his Achilles. Plenty of people fought with broken bones. No one is trying to hear sprain. How are we allowing this narrative to pass? Well, I've given my opinion. Like I said, it don't look good. The only way to beat the charges is to run it back, do a demolition job, and if you don't run it back, you literally have got to fight a killer next. And if you don't fight a killer, then you're not going to beat charges. You're just going to have to, and that's if you want to. Maybe some people don't care about the charges, but I've got a feeling that Ben does. I don't think he's going to want people talking on his name, saying that he's a quitter, he ain't got no heart. He don't want it, especially again after the what's it called? The trainer's name? The one who Dominic Ingle. He came out earlier today, I think, and said that Ben Whittaker quit in a sparring session against Liam Williams, who's a 160 guy, and he was doing the back 4 rounds of the spar, and he quit after the 3rd round, so he didn't want to do it anymore. So everyone's coming out of the woodworks with charges now all of a sudden. So there's a lot of charges that just gotta get dealt with at this point, and I hope they do. If I'm gonna be real, And Clarke is now looked at as a guy that went through the amateur circuit, Team GB, etc., and lost to the white collar guy. Yeah. I see Ben coming back and outclassing Cameron. Ben. Oh, Ben Whittaker. Oh, okay. Yeah, because the way you spelled it, I thought, what's Conor Ben got to do with this? Ben needs a better trainer. I've heard that. Let's not forget that Bivol's hand was swollen, but he still fought on against Beterbiev. Yeah, true. Man like Mr. S, shout out to you. Pokes is live in the building as well. Yes, big ups to you. Tone in the building. Ben simply has to run it back. The critics are running rampage on him. Yep. Ben Whittaker ain't that guy, unfortunately. If he was, they would have matched him with Shakan Pitters in a Wolverhampton versus Birmingham Classic. Well, I mean, is you've got Shakan, you've also got Ezra Taylor was calling for a fight of him for the longest time, and they was on the earlier on, I think this week. No, they did promo together, and Ezra was like, "Yeah, look, I still want that fight, but good luck in your next one," kind of thing. So I know Ezra Taylor wanted that fight, but he's been saying for time that Ben's not that guy. So they wanted that West Midlands versus East Midlands beef, and that one didn't materialize yet. Bruce, I think the problem for Ben is he's built up an aura of being a Nas type fighter with zero power, which is fine, but then be Joe Calzaghe and throw 900 punches a fight. Yeah, I suppose so. The work rate, maybe there's a gas tank issue as well. That's something we got to consider. Definitely we got to consider that. But right, I'm going for another 15 potentially. I'm gonna let the people jump in. There's a link in the chat for anyone who wants to come in and give their take. But yeah, in my opinion, it was a bad look for BOXXER. I mean, look, even the whole Chris Eubank Jr. thing, he didn't look good against Romero. Yeah, he dropped him 4 times, but he got visibly hurt on a couple of times. Didn't have much energy. People saw how he had to make weight. I think he's dead at 160. I said he's finished, especially at 160. He either needs to move back to 168 or he needs to retire because he did not look good in that performance. So there was no person from that BOXXER roster that actually like impressed. And he started off well. The first round, I thought, oh, Chris is coming out with a nice little jab, and he actually made me want to watch the fight, because before that was going to be the fight I was going to take my break and go get food. Luckily, obviously, I ate food before then. But people saw in the chat, I was like, oh, right, he's throwing that jab kind of decent. All right, let's see what you got. But you know, you got Zerameto, who ain't had a competitive fight since 2021, who basically retired at the start of the year and literally just took a payday. And he was still giving you competitive work. Yeah, cool, you dropped him a couple of times, but he's not on your level. And he still was managing to go rounds and to be competitive in all the rounds. Even in the rounds he got dropped, he was competitive in. That's not a great advertisement. And then that clown show thing with Conor Ben at the end of it and Neymar and all that, like that's, yeah. Emma, Fisher versus Clarke in 2026. I got Fisher. You know why? Because in 2026, Fraser's going to be damn near 36 years old. He's going to have even less athleticism, and Johnny Fisher's going to be about 27. Strong, obviously, Romford bull, strong as a bull, former athletic pro, like he's a former rugby player. The guy's an athlete and clearly punches very hard. So he may not ever have the level of knowledge that Fraser has, but he's going to have all the other advantages. I think he's taller than Fraser. I think he hits harder than Fraser. And I think he's got a better engine. So, yeah, in 2 years' time, he's going to be more maturated as a pro. I don't think Fraser has been able to adapt that well to the pro ranks. Eubank, go back to Bomac. He can't go back to Bomac because he keeps talking about he wants a Crawford fight. Bomac ain't gonna accept him back in the gym now. Bakes, what you think about Canelo wanting Beterbiev in May? I didn't hear that he wanted him, but if he does, that's a mistake. he's got the right style to beat Better BF, but he hasn't got anything else. He hasn't got the height. He hasn't got his power. That punching one, that one punch that he's got is not gonna affect Better BF, especially if like those rounds go and he's got to start maintaining and and he's got to start sort of managing the energy reserves. And Better BF, with the pressure that he puts on and the fact that he doesn't throw a lot of power behind any shot that he has, it's gone like you're just going to be taking sustained punishment. That might be the one time that Canelo actually gets stopped through a mad accumulation. So I still have a feeling this Conor Benn fight won't happen. Luke, and he ain't taller. He's 6'4". I think Johnny Fisher's taller than Fraser Clarke. I think they're both the same height. But either way, he's got all the other attributes. The only thing Fraser will probably have over him is the jab, but Fisher will have the speed, he'll have the youth, and he'll be more well-schooled as an actual pro, as opposed to, trying to fight his amateur instincts. Oh man, like Beats is in the building. Hold on. I'm gonna treat Beats correctly and turn off the music. Beats, shout out to you, man. What's good?
What's up, brother? What's up?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm just here like trying to debate what's going on with the BOXXER stable and what they can do moving forward. What do you think?
Well, Benchaloms just looks out of place. He looks awkward. He looks like he's more scared for the boxers to lose than themselves. And like Ben Whittaker, he's got talent, right? Like I said, you don't get silver medals for nothing, right?
Cool.
And Curtis Woodhouse has got a brilliant video on it, and he said not literally what I said, but they don't give out the silver medals. You don't go around the world and box this country, that country, and you're shook or you're a load of crap. That's nonsense, right? It looked like he had a panic attack in their base to a degree. I'm not saying he quit either, because if you look at him if you look at his face when he's on the canvas, he has got a panic-stricken look on his face.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think he so much quit. I think it just got all on top of him. That's what I believe. That's why he took it out on the guy with the phone who was videoing him or taking photos of him, and that's why he punched the hole in the cardboard wall, Frank called it, which he's got to pay for. I think he had a little bit of a panic attack.
But what do you think the panic was? Do you think it was because he didn't know, like he felt something that, like a nerve or something, and he was worried about what was happening to him, or do you think he panicked over the situation that things aren't going his way like they usually do?
Well, he's had it all his way. Has he lost a round since he's turned pro?
Literally. Yeah, he lost a couple to the white guy in March. I can't remember his name. So
Willie, was it Willie?
Yeah, him. He lost a couple rounds.
He was never stressed. He was never stressed in the fight.
No.
Right? That's the thing. And he hasn't been stressed to the pro. When did he turn pro, Base? When was it? 2021?
2022, I think.
Now, this is what I'm saying. That transition from amateurs to pro, he hasn't fought no one with real pedigree since then. You do realize that since he's turned pro. That guy there, like, if you watch what he did, what's his name? Liam Cameron, right? Yeah. He didn't throw big winding shots. No, he didn't do that, bro. He stayed balanced and he just like was touching him, and then he was increasing the energy in his offense. He didn't do no wild swings, and Ben just lost it. He seemed to like he just lost the plot a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Curtis Woodhouse was talking about he might need to see a sports psychologist. He might need to take a break and just assess things. But I don't think it's over for him. I don't think it's over. I don't think it's over. I don't know how far he can go, but I don't think it's over. It's too early to judge.
No. I agree with you. I don't think I've still got a lot of faith in Ben. I know some people have jumped off the train. I won't do that to any person that has given me time or whatever. But I will be critical if I feel like I need to be critical. And in this situation, the only thing that I'm critical of is the same thing that I said in several videos back in the day. Like, if you're doing the showboating stuff, as long as you carry on doing it when you step up the levels, I'm all for it. But if you're just going to be doing it to the no-hopers when you start off the career and then it's all of a sudden it disappears and you can't stay in character, I've got to look at you a different way.
It's a simple. See, if you showboat and you underperform, you know what's coming back. You know what's coming back, and like you wouldn't believe that this guy had only 9 fights, because let's say if he had won easy, nobody would be talking about this fight. Nobody. But TalkSport, they've been, juicing whatever content they could do. Simon Jordan said he say he swallowed it, he quit, and all this, and it's getting deep. It's getting really deep, and this is gonna be the time where we see how strong he is. Because in this era in boxing, if you're a prospect, right, you can't just, go to the card, take your fight, and develop your craft. You can't do that. You've got to deal with the social media. You've got to deal with the cameras like never before. You know what I mean? I can tell you, right, when Lennox Lewis was coming up, when he fought, is it Andrew Gerrard? The fight, I think it might have been on Welsh TV on BBC One. No one saw it, and there was a couple of fights like that. Like when he made his debut against Al Malcolm, like it was stranded on midweek sports special. Like, you know what I mean? There was no fanfare for and this is our greatest fighter probably that we produced. There was no fanfare to a lot of his come up fights, and this was an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah,
it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. I think Fraser as well. If this was before social media, right? And you get people trolling, "You crap, Fraser, you can't fight, you can't this, that." He wouldn't have took this fight. I'm talking about the first, because okay, he drew the first fight. But one thing about Ben Shalom he got right, he didn't want Fraser to go in that fight because he knew he wasn't ready. He didn't want him to go in there. Right? And if this was beforehand, let's say Frank Warren was promoting him, he wouldn't have took that. Frank Warren wouldn't have put him in there. No, you joking? Punches like a mule. You wouldn't have put him in there. You got 6-7 fights. You know what I mean?
And Frank would have took the stick as well. So no, I'm making a decision. He's not ready for that. I don't care what he says, and I'm taking the decision not to put him in there.
Yeah, and now his career is on life support, literally now. It's on life support. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's tough breaks, man. It's tough breaks, and they had to break the bank to sign both them guys from the Olympics, man.
That's that as well. I was about to say that's another thing. It's like you've got them on that big money supposedly, and you're putting them on big money, but they're in developmental fights. You can't be paying people big money when they ain't worth that yet. Because what happens when that contract needs renewing all of a sudden? If they actually get to where you think they're going to go to.
That Saudi Arabia money is a problem for promoters, right? Like okay, AJ got knocked out by Dubois, but that was the fight AJ was supposed to take because he's a twice unified champion. You're supposed to take that fight.
Yeah.
But the likes of Ben Whittaker and Fraser Clarke, they got pushed out there because Ben signed the contract with Riyadh Season. They got pushed out in the road, bro. Pushed them out in the road, man. And you saw what happened to Jack Massey.
Yep. Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is about the whole Jack Massey thing, though? Remember when Ben Shalom was talking about how Eddie Hearn was just feeding Jordan Thompson to Jaya Bataille, and he's clearly not ready for that level, and he's never been anywhere near that level. And then you go and feed one of the guys who might actually be a good member and a good roster of your stable to the same guy. So, but all of a sudden, you ain't got the same chat again.
There you go. There you go. And like, hey, Billiam Smith versus Zerdo. I've got Zerdo.
I can't lie. I haven't even given my predictions, but I'm in agreement with you. I've looked at the way Zerdo fights and the movement. Yeah, and it's gonna. The only thing I don't know is actually not. But it depends, innit? Because even though I don't think Turkey's necessarily does the favoritism and the favorable judges, but I think he knows that Billam Smith and Opataia is a bigger fight than Zerdo and Opataia. So that's a question right now. Can he get it on the cards if it goes that way? unless it's so obvious.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because everyone has wanted the Billum Smith fight with Opataya for the last year and a bit, for the last year and a bit, ever since September last year when Opataya came and mashed work with Jordan Thompson. That's the fight that's been called for. So the fact that we have an opportunity to get that, and even though Turkey, he keeps saying, "Oh, every time I make these semi-finals, people don't seem to," but I feel like if that one goes to the cards, which I think he would think it would. He might say, "Well, this is the one that makes me the most money or gives me the eyes on the event."
Yeah. There's a lot of circumstances, man. You know what I mean? Like Billiam Smith, he's been protected from Jai. They're throwing. I think they're throwing him in. But what choice do they have? You beat up domestic level. You beat up Richard Riakporhe, which I didn't think he was going to win that. You beat up a Coley. There's nowhere to go. You got to unify that. You know
The only other thing that it could have potentially done was to wait for the winner of Noel Gavor and Ryan Rosicki. Obviously, that got postponed 2 separate times. But even in that fight, I think Ryan Rosicki is going to beat Gavor, and I think Ryan Rosicki will beat Billum Smith as well.
You think so?
That guy is a madman.
Yeah, remember, he is a bit of a madman.
He stood up to the punches of Oscar. What's his name?
Rivas. He did. He is a bit of a madman.
He took that fight on 3 weeks notice. Went up to just only about 207 pounds or something, and they said, "Yeah, I'm going back down to cruiserweight." But he stood up to the punches all night, and then started to wear Rivas out down the stretch.
Wow,
Rosicki's a problem.
I was listening to you earlier. You don't think there's no route back for Fraser, really, did?
I don't. And the thing is, not because he can't come back, but you're 33, with there's no accolade to you that you can kind of cling on to. No sort of goodwill or some gesture that you can take from anything that you've done as a pro thus far. Because remember, he said before his first real fight was Fabio Wardi. That's what he said before their first fight. Because he tried to say the same thing to Fabio. You ain't fought no one. I'm your first real test as well. That's what he said. So imagine if you're saying that you're the first real test you have, you draw, in some people's mind, luckily, because you still got put down and got a point taken off, but you draw that, and then all of a sudden now you get knocked out in a round against your first real test at the age of 33 with a family, and not just knocked out with a bad injury. You can't fight again until the summer at the earliest. And I don't think,
and when we say, and we're talking about his comeback, we can't be talking about him fighting top 10.
Exactly.
Or top 15 guys.
He'll be in there with another bring along. So realistically, if we look at it, you're 10 fights in, you technically can't even say you're British level, because on British level you've drawn one and you've lost one. So you're English level at best at this point, and you now need a rebuild.
He's Johnny Fisher level at best. That's where he is right now.
Yeah. And you need a rebuild. So imagine that you need a rebuild. By the time you come back in the ring, you will be 34. Not getting any faster, not really getting any better. You won't have been able to spar properly because that I don't think they're gonna want to take the chances of the impact happening again. I just don't think I just literally think he's made so much money off of those first 9 fights, especially with that last Saudi bag. I think he's retired. And if I was him, I'd retire, because I don't think he, as the man he is and who I believe him to be, is going to be satisfied being a potential gatekeeper or journeyman. I don't see him doing that.
And here's the thing: he's quite an amicable brother, and Spencer Oliver was saying, everybody loves him. He'll get punditry work straight away.
That's what I said yesterday. He'll be on the Sky Sports broadcast team, and in no time making money outside of the ring. He might even be able to go and if he wants to, he might even become a trainer or do some stuff like that. He doesn't need to get back in the ring again, knowing that he can't get to where he wanted to get to. So that's why I think he's done, personally. But I could be wrong, and if I am, and he comes back and does something, I'll be the first one to say I got it wrong. Big up to you.
But I don't think I have. Here's the thing, basically, like the reality for Fraser Clarke, right? Stayed in the amateurs too long.
Yeah,
you're 33. You haven't even had 10 fights yet, right? You've got severe damage to your face, haven't even won a British title, then you got to wait months, like you said, to come back next summer and then start back at 8-round level, right?
Yeah.
So you got to get back in the crew. You're in the queue. You've got to get back in the queue. And this is a guy who's he fought in the amateurs: Clement Russo, Joshua. He fought all of them. He fought them all.
Yeah, he's fought
Joseph
Joe
Parker.
Joyce,
Right.
Yoko.
And now you're going to go back in the queue. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a long way back.
Boy,
all I know, bro. All I know. I was glad the referee stopped it. I was glad that Fabio didn't throw the extra punch, because this could have been, you know what I mean, like it could have even been worse, man. It could have been worse.
It could have. But you know what? I think, to be fair, at that particular moment, though, his knee was actually on the ground, so Fabio wouldn't have thrown it because the knee was clearly down. So yeah, I think as much as Fabio can get into a rage, I think he's like he's not one of them. He's not like an old school Mike Tyson. No, I'm beating you until your back's on the canvas, not your leg.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. And,
but no, listen, Bees, I appreciate you coming on, man.
No problem, Bex.
I'm gonna close this off in a minute, but I'm about to watch your video as soon as I come off of here. Like, great job.
All right, cool.
That's up. Right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't forget anyone else is looking to jump on. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I'm gonna read the last comment. I'm gonna jump off. Shout out to Kroom 187. Yo, basically, you got Y2J or Gangrel. Oh yeah, Y2J. It's always got to be. You've got to make the list though. If you make the list, it's Y2J all the time. Whittaker might be very well the next Yoka. Too fragile, not skilled enough, and on top, no power. Ooh, shout out Fidel to Wildy. Big take. BOXXER matchmaking has been poor. Warren lets you swim. Eddie throws you in with the sharks. Yeah, true. Simon Jordan thinks he's the messiah of boxing. This guy's ego is through the roof, whining like a little spoiled bro. Yeah. BOXXER saved Eddie. If you think about it, didn't waste his money on all the GB Olympians. I mean, but to be honest, let's not forget, Eddie wasn't going to offer them the same money that BOXXER did. So he probably would have had them on a lot more modest contracts, and I think he would have got them. Remember, he's got a good matchmaker right now. I think like Kevin Rooney, I think, is one of them. And I can't remember the other guy's name, but they seem to do well at matching the guys on the way up before they have to reach that acid test. But he would have seen from early, yeah, they're not quite ready for certain tests just yet. The only male Olympian doing well best is Galal. Yeah, and he might get beat at the end of next month. And then that's pretty much his trajectory stifled as well. But that one is more understandable. Not necessarily Saddam would draw big in US, Texas, or California. Oh, I think you're talking about the fight with Zerdo. Yeah, but I don't think it would, because Zerdo doesn't even really do big crowds in America too tough. I've never really seen him sell out a place or do big numbers on the viewings. And again, they might look at it and say, well, who is Jairo Pataya? Because you know Americans are very xenophobic like that. ZBS has a mandatory, unfortunately, so looking at summer at the earliest. Yeah, I didn't even forget about the mandatory, although I'm sure Turkey's got enough money to pay step aside. Jai's got a mandatory. Yeah, but you know, I think Jai's looking to take care of his mandatory in December. He said if he doesn't get any damage, he wants to be back out on the Fury Usyk undercard, and I can see a scenario where he gets out on that one. And if not, maybe they might throw him on one of the January or February cards next year. He could fight again before then. And he's not always just waiting for the Saudi bag. He'll fight on any date or any fight date that he's given. So, Fraser on the belt, no. Better be versus Undisputed Cruiser champ after the rematch. Yeah, that's a big fight still. If it happens, I'll be looking forward to it. That's actually really bad. At the end of the day, you want to say you won a pro belt. Even John Hedges won a belt. Yeah. Shout out to our good to hear from Beats. Yeah, always big up to Beat every single time. Thanks, Base, Kevin. Cheers. Oh yeah, it was Tom Dallas is the other matchmaker. Yes, thank you very much for that, Raw. All right, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being in attendance. I'm going to try and get some actual episodes out this week. It's been a while, but I'm going to try and get one out, maybe not tomorrow, but Thursday, Friday basis picks, obviously, and hopefully I'll be in attendance on the weekend so we can do some good work there, and I can get some more content for you lot. But thank you for rocking with me as always appreciated. But yeah, until next time, it's Hardcore Casual out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone, but who better than me?